Thursday night football, NFC West battle tonight, Joe Ranieri, Seattle and Arizona. We'll line this game up in just a few moments, but I love Thursday night football, but more importantly, Joe, I like Thursday night meaningful football. The NFC West looks like it's going to be a very competitive conference, and maybe it's just, Joe, who can just stay healthy throughout the season. A lot of damaging blows to injuries to multiple teams here, which leads us with two 2-1 football teams on this Thursday night. And as Joe pointed out during his spread lines, boy, we had a favorite here for the Arizona Cardinals early in the week. That's now completely shifted over to Seattle, who is a 1.5-point favorite at just about everywhere you're shopping. A total listed at 43.5. Thursday night football, always tough for the road team, but the question is, the heartbeat of that offense for Arizona isn't Kyler Murray. It's not Harrison at wide receiver. It was James Conner. He's down for the season. Somebody's got to step up. How do we feel, Joe, first, about the line moving from a favorite to Arizona over to a favorite for Seattle?
Well, Donnie, I talked to a lot of guys this week, and a ton of them in their numbers and their power rankings had the Seahawks at close to a 5-point favorite in this game heading into it. So the fact that they were able to get him as a dog, it's no wonder why the line is flipped, because this is truly one of those games where the wrong team was favored to start with. And you're right, though, on a short week, you and I have talked about it. It's all about, I got to look at the home team before I look at anything here because of the travel that's involved in the short week. The road teams are always at a disadvantage, except for Seattle under Mike McDonald. They're 8-1 straight up and 5-3 against the number when playing away from home. So they are absolutely, and by the way, when they're playing as road underdogs of less than a touchdown, they've been even better. Jonathan Gannon, we already mentioned, they've had a hard time beating this Seattle team, whether it's in Seattle or in Arizona. I think the line was a little mispriced to begin with. I think you can still get the Seahawks. I don't think it goes to 3, but I do think it's going to continue to go to the Seahawks.
And also, you take a look at like who you play sometimes, right? You saw the opening game against Seattle, which I thought they could win that game. Didn't end up winning against the 49ers. Gutsy performance, though, at Pittsburgh, and then absolutely blowing the doors off a bad Saints team. Then you look at Arizona. It sounds like, they're 2-1. That's fantastic. But do you see the first 2 games they had? It's like, you're supposed to win those. And then in a game where San Francisco had backup quarterback after backup, wide receiver after backup tight end, backup offensive line, and they lost that football game, and they lost maybe one of the best parts of their offense in Conner. So I do agree with that line movement on the surface. I think you're right. Like, Seattle's the better football team, but it is always hard to win football games on the road. Tempo-wise, Joe, in this game, 43.5 as a total. Any quick looks on that?
Yeah, well, Seattle is not going to play at a fast tempo. They're not going to hurry up and get to the line of scrimmage and try to give, Sam Darnold an opportunity to beat him. They're going to pound, they're going to ground, and they're going to pound, and they're going to force the other team to do just that as well. They have been fantastic against the rush, and they have been very good against the pass thus far here. And Kyler Murray, well, which Kyler Murray shows up? The one that looked pretty good in the first half of games, or the one that eventually incomplete passes with under 2 minutes to go, you give the ball back and voila, you lose the game. So kind of tough to trust Kyler Murray and Gannon right now, since they never win these games when it matters in conference, in division play at home here, especially against Seattle.
Yeah, I'm going to get to Kyler Murray in just a few moments here, because I do think there's an angle I like to play in this game. But we all love the touchdown market props here, and you're entering into this game. And we talked about it earlier in the week already, Joe. You look at James Conner. 1st and goal at the 3. Whose football is that? James Conner's. Like, okay, well, if I want to take Marvin Harrison Jr. or somebody else, I'm not going to, that price is going to be at a premium because we think the touchdowns will get chewed up by Conner. He's not there in this game. So now we take a look at Trey Benson at a plus 105 price, Trey McBride at a plus 165 price, Marvin Harrison Jr. at a plus 190 price. If we start with the Arizona Cardinals touchdown market here, who would you go to with Conner out now?
Well, it's funny. We saw McBride finally get in the end zone last week against the 49ers, right, for him. So he has been a target, but I don't think he's going to be the focus here for Arizona. I think Benson needs to be involved in this game, Donnie. They are going to have to feed him the ball a lot. I think they are also anytime they're inside the 5, they're going to give him an opportunity to punch that in and try and own that line of scrimmage. So I think that's good value with him.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see again if he can be more of that goal line back, but also understanding more of that first, second, and third down back, which means extra opportunities. In the next segment, we're going to dive in a little bit deeper to those numbers for Kyler Murray and also Trey Benson here. But we'll set the table for this, Joe. You don't have to answer because I'm just going to have you think about this over the break. Kenneth Walker III is a plus 105 price to score an anytime touchdown. Zach Charbonnet, which had a full practice this week, he's at a plus 190. Can you trust either one of these running backs, or is it all Kenneth Walker in this game? Much more on Thursday Night Football right here on the early line. Keeping it simple sometimes is usually the most effective way to handicap it, right, Joe? Don't go over your skis here. Don't overthink yourself. If you think there's going to be a touchdown score, don't worry so much about the price, but more of the handicap here. The reason I bring this up is Kenneth Walker got a lot of the burn last week, and rightfully so. Why? Zach Charbonnet didn't play because he was injured. Quick work week this week and say, okay, they're going to play on a Thursday. Chances are Zach Charbonnet doesn't play in this game either, but did get a full practice in. And whenever the odds markets pop up that you have a line of Charbonnet to score an anytime touchdown to plus 190, it seems like a pretty good price if he was fully healthy, but we actually don't know that. So playing the running back market, Joe, from a Seattle perspective, is it all Kenneth Walker, or, hey, if Charbonnet's going to get carries, why not be able to punch a ticket for a plus 190 as well?
Well, to me, Donnie, it's an absolute pass because I think you're betting against yourself if you choose one guy over the other, because the reality is they're both more than capable red zone running backs here to be able to punch it in from inside the 5, right? But how do we know? We already know the health of Zach has been questionable all week. You mentioned it, missed last week. So, you go with the hot hand. You don't push it here. To me, it's a coin flip spot. The market is telling you that at that price. I would look for more value down the board, maybe with the wide receivers. What about, Horton or somebody like that getting involved and getting a better price? Because I'm not sure the running back market, I don't know if there's any value for Seattle there.
Might be getting some value in that quarterback market if we take a look at the head-to-head between Kyler Murray and Sam Darnold. 211.5 passing yards listed for Kyler Murray, the home quarterback. The road quarterback, Sam Darnold, 226.5. Approachable prices here. Look at the touchdown market. Both of these guys obviously at 1.5, but how about this? Plus 136 for Kyler to throw to, plus 154 for Darnold to throw to. If you're trusting quarterbacks tonight, not to win the football game necessarily, Joe, but in the prop market, which guy would you be going with today?
Well, it's funny, Donnie, and it's if I told you, if you go to Pro Football Focus, right, PFF, through 3 weeks, do you know who their highest graded passer is in the NFL right now?
Is it Sammy D? Who is it?
It's Sam Darnold under Clint Kubiak's offense here. He has absolutely been way better than anybody has given him credit for to this point. So everyone was so concerned him, but he's getting more and more comfortable here. I think if you're going to back a quarterback in any of the passing markets, it's Sam Darnold, especially with the injuries to the secondary for Arizona.
And if we flip it over and say, okay, rushing yards here, we talked about some of the prop markets here for quarterbacks and also the running back props here to score a touchdown. When I teased before the break, I look at Kyler Murray. It's 27.5 yards. I just think the team itself has to pick up the slack for the loss of James Conner. Also understand this, 27.5 isn't a lot of yards. If you said, well, how does it have in the landscape of this year? He's hit that each and every game, Kyler Murray. I'm not asking for a lot, but when you know you have a running back that usually gets, let's just say 15 touches out of the backfield that's no longer there, yes, Benson's going to pick up the slack, and he's listed at 57.5, but I really like Kyler Murray over 27.5 rushing yards tonight. I think he's going to have to do a lot. That's a good defense that will put pressure on him. And as you alluded to, banged up a little bit on the offensive line, quarterback that likes to run. Why can't he get 30 yards tonight, Joe? I like Kyler Murray's rushing prop here over 27.5.
Well, he can get that. The way he extends plays, it could be one play, Donnie, and you're cashing that ticket. So that's what makes him dangerous. What makes it tough here for him is the fact of how healthy now that secondary of the Seattle is getting. Julian Love, their starting safety back. So is Devin Witherspoon. So now he might have to tuck it and run it way more than he'd like to in this spot. So I'm with you. I like that prop.
Yeah, how about that? Little running from a running quarterback. We'll see how it plays out. Kenneth Walker III, 52 and a half yards, Joe. And you take a look at Trey Benson, 57 and a half yards. We're looking for a lot of work tonight out of Benson. But the question is, as always, if you're the underdog, sometimes it is risky taking running backs. Not saying it never works out, but in the fourth quarter, how many extra carries are you going to get if you need to get that 57 and a half yards? Who are you trusting on the ground, Joe, in this game between both Kenneth Walker, Trey Benson, or anybody else in this football game?
Well, I think it's if Arizona is going to win this game, they need
Yeah.
Trey Benson to have a big game. They cannot rely on, with a banged up offensive line, by the way, having to pass protect for Kyler Murray if he's got to drop back 40 times here, Donnie. So to me, I think the guy to focus on, especially I think it correlates to any sort of Cardinals bet that you might have in this game, it's got to go with Benson. He can't just have 30 yards rushing in this game. He's got to be more impactful than that.
Absolutely does. And also, when you take a look at the receiving props too, Joe, filling in for Connor, which means more snaps out there, more chances to catch passes. Yesterday, Trey Benson was at a 20 and a half price point for his receiving yards. Today, he's up to 21 and a half, and I do agree with that. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 84 and a half yards. Trey McBride, 64 and a half yards. Marvin Harrison Jr., 47 and a half. Is there a wide receiver component or a pass catching component that you like in this game, Joe?
Yeah, JSN for over 6.5 receptions, Donnie.
Yeah,
it's a
good,
big
man.
number,
He's
but
good.
he has been a guy that is he's averaging over 7 grabs a game on the year, over close to 10 targets a game. So, yeah, with that banged up secondary of Arizona between him, Donnie, and Torrey Horton, I can see these guys getting some going prop betting market, receiving yards, receptions, getting a lot of work here tonight.
And we got some live movement here also. Take a look at the big picture, right? Because you're talking about an NFC West, two teams going toe-to-toe at 2-1, looking to track down their counterparts here. A very competitive division. The San Francisco 49ers lead right now in the odds market at a plus 110 price to win that. I don't really like them because they're just seemingly too injured to start the season and getting more injured as the season goes. But credit to them being 3-0. The Los Angeles Rams at a plus 180 price. And how about this? The Seattle Seahawks now live are listed at plus 650 and the Cardinals at a 7-1 price. So if you do say victory for Seattle, they're certainly going to move up. Same thing with the Arizona Cardinals. A win tonight, they're going to move up, but a loss on either one of those are going to move down. If you look at the 4 teams, Joe, in the NFC West, who is getting your money right now?
Well, I mean, listen, I am not a big fan of tying up money here for 4 months on a team that's plus 180. But the Rams are clearly, I still think, the best team in this division. But I don't know that you're ever going to get Seattle at a better number at 7-1 than you are right now, Donnie. I think that is the team that is the dark horse in this division. I think it's easy to say to 49ers because of the schedule, but I think the Rams and I think Seattle, ultimately it's going to come down to those 2 teams.
How about these stats, Joe? Sometimes you can play a little bit around with them, bend the rules, make them seem like exactly which way you want to go, but there's no bending this. Kyler Murray, 2-8 overall against the Seattle Seahawks, hasn't beaten them since 2020. Does that infiltrate your numbers to say, hey, man, they're underdogs? They, forget about covering the spread at 1.5. They better win this game. And Kyler Murray only 2-8 in his career against those Seattle Seahawks.
No, it's been terrible, and it's been terrible recently. I mean, Seattle has owned this matchup here, and I mean, 7 in a row they've won here.
Yeah.
All 7 of those, have dealt with Kyler Murray in some way, shape, or form. Or I think there were a couple of backups used in that spot. Hey, listen, there are some teams that just play you very, very well. And for as good as Kyler Murray can be, this is just a tough matchup for him against a solid top 10 defense in the NFL. It's tough to go, oh, Kyler will get it done. He's never gotten it done against this team.
Yeah, by the way, they're 2-1 right now, Arizona. A lot of teams in the NFL would love to start 2-1, Joe. They play the Seahawks tonight at home. Let's just say they win that game and go to 3-1. Then they have the Titans at home. They can go to 4-1. You know why you need that? Because before the season, like, hey, we'll go to Indianapolis. We can compete. Indy might be one of the better teams in football by the time you play them on week number 6. And week number 7, that's the Packers. So to make a long story short, Joe, you better handle your business at home over the next 2 games, because after that, those next 2 after that, tough.
Well, listen, they lost to the Saints. I mean, they beat the
Yep.
Saints, they beat the Panthers, two terrible teams, and they beat the they almost beat the backups of the 49ers, but they didn't. So I don't know what you're going to do against teams that are over 500. It could be a rough season here for Arizona.
Let's see if Arizona can hang around with Jonathan Gannon as their head coach. Stay healthy, boys, is what we like to say. And tonight, they're not healthy, at least in the spread market. They're now underdogs here. 2 hours of fun. It's how we get down. We set the table. It's a Thursday into a football Friday. So many good things this weekend, but so many more good things this evening. But this is the time that myself, Donnie Rightside, and Joe Ranieri, we like to reach out to the public and get their opinion on our Fade the Public poll question. Thursday night football is the topic, people, and at Sports Grid on Twitter/X. If you're not following, you're doing it wrong here. We asked the simple question you could vote on today. What is your best bet for Seattle versus Arizona on Thursday night football? 4 opportunities to weigh in here. Over, under, Seattle or Arizona. For me, Joe, I actually went under 43.5 as my vote on this one. Where did you go here?
Yeah, I went Seattle, Donnie. If I just think there's too much history, there's too much data that shows us. Yeah, I think Seattle should have been the favorite. I think Arizona was the wrong team favorite. I think the market has adjusted correctly.
How about that? And by the way, if we look at the percentages here, 14% voted on the over, 22% on the under, which is actually kind of a flag there. Usually everybody just bets overs constantly. Seattle, -1.5, 46%. They are the favorite. And then the Arizona Cardinals at a 17% clip at +1.5. They pull up there second to last, only behind the over, which again, it's kind of interesting here. People love to bet overs here, but I'll tell you what else people love. They love to win money. If you tuned in yesterday, you loved what Joe and I gave you on the Boston Red Sox. No matter how many ways you bet the Red Sox, you probably came up with a victory. We're looking to do it again today. Here's bye. There's baseball, there's football in the card, Joe. Buying yourself some victories tonight. Where can we go?
Yeah, well, I'm going to go to that Thursday night football game. And though it is scary knowing the public is on the same side as you, the public is not always wrong, Donnie. And I think the Seahawks are just a better team. And they are certainly the more healthier team here, as that secondary and cluster injuries on the offensive line for Arizona are huge red flags, especially with how good the Seahawks have been defensively. And, oh, yeah, by the way, they get their starting safety and the cornerback back this week here. So given the fact that Mike Macdonald, the head coach of Seattle, since he's taken over, is 8-1 straight up in road games, yeah, I got no problem backing Seattle to get it done on the road against a banged-up Arizona team who I just don't think is that good. So I'll back them, Donnie, on the money line.
Yeah, we'll see where this line goes as well. We sit here early this morning at -1.5 across the board. We'll see if you get any buybacks there on Arizona. But as we talked about, Arizona was the favorite heading into the week here. That -2.5 price point now flipped again back over here to Seattle in a total that's sitting at 43.5. I'm also I love these bets because I think, Joe, we keep them simple. We don't outthink anybody. It's early in the morning. What's the best point of play for tonight, whether it be a baseball game or a football game? I'm going to keep it simple again. It's Kyler Murray for me. I don't need a lot from Kyler Murray. And as a matter of fact, if we look at his first 3 games, Joe, of the season, 6 carries, 7 carries, and 7 carries. Yardage, 38.
Yep. Kyler Murray, yes, over 27.5 rushing yards with Donnie. And that was one also that I was a big fan of, given the fact that the pass rush is going to be there. And he's also going to have to tuck it and run it when he gets a chance. So, Donnie, I think those injuries on the offensive line are going to force him to have to get out of that pocket more than ever tonight.
You can't take me off the air before I'm giving my best bets. Look, the people know how much we win, Joe. They're trying to cut it right when we give our best bets right now. That's why I'm still here and audible, as Joe pointed out. Kyler Murray over 27.5 rushing yards tonight. He gets at least 30 rushing yards. We don't have to worry about sacks taking away from the total. Give me that in the first half, and I don't care what happens the rest of the way, as long as Joe Ranieri also cashes his Seattle money line ticket.